Richard Onyonka, the Kisii senator, is opening a lid about a private conversation with David Ndii. And in appearing in a panel interview in Citizen TV, Richard Onyonka revealed that he's a personal friend to David Ndii. And even though they don't speak economics because they speak from two different political sides, and Onyonka is confirming live on camera that David Ndii told him that these people are just unmanageable. They are cutting deals left, right, and center. They are buying mansions in different places. And the level of looting in government is actually sickening. Richard Onyonka, and I want to believe that soundbite is actually all over social media. If you check, you'll find that soundbite. I think I need to get you just a bite of it here. Now, that is why there is a school of thought, not even a school of thought. That is why when there was the fuel hike, David Ndii was speaking to Kenyans. Rather, it was understood arrogantly, but I think for me, there's nothing wrong with what David Ndii said. He said, because Kenyans were saying, we gave you the responsibility to lead this country because we believed that you had the solutions. When we were electing you guys, we knew that you guys are up to the task, you know what is supposed to be done, and you'll be able to make sure that things are right and put into place. And David Ndii said that Kenyans should not trust the political class. And, there was a lot of uproar, and I think even together Gachagua hitting at the David Ndii and Moses Kuria about that. And for him, he's been saying, and if you check Twitter, David Ndii has been saying that Kenyans, you believed Ruto and Rigathi, then that was a mistake. There is no difference. Because according to what he's saying, is that things are totally out of hand. I have said some time back in this bold podcast, and I will repeat, that those who want to sanitize themselves and for us to believe them that what you're saying is right and you're uncomfortable with that, they just need to walk out. In law, there is, when someone is dead, there is what is called accessory to murder. Accessory to murder, is it accomplice to murder, where you knew that so is gonna kill that person, but you did not help. So even if you were told, you did not go, maybe in that scene, you were not in the scene, but you knew that Kevin is leaving this place, and when he gets to that place, he's gonna kill that person. So what the law says is that you need to tell us. So when those around Kenya Kwanza, when those in Kenya Kwanza warn us that things are bad and they're still in it, the public tend to see very clearly that maybe they're just abetting the crime with them. What's the difference? But I want to, and that is why I still insist that there are those who, if they feel leadership is about a principle and this is against what you want, then the most honorable thing is you walk out so that you join those out there to call out. I think with that, when people walk out because things are bad, it might raise eyebrows. And of course, Ruto will not want a bad image. So when you paint a bad image that people are leaving you because you're not doing the right thing, maybe those in power might feel insecurity of tenure and correct. But when you speak, you're still inside the kitchen, maybe people believe you are part of the cooking team. Ladies and gentlemen, what are the hidden secrets that David Ndii is talking about in this podcast? There is something that David Ndii is revealing to us, and that's what I want us to explain. But one thing, David Ndii is telling us in clear terms that William Ruto has lost control of government. And lost control in the sense that people cannot plunder resources. People cannot loot resources. And you see very well that the issue about it's working against the economy, and you cannot whip them out. If David Ndii is economic advisor, so sits, I think he's very close to the president. If he knows some of these things, do you want to tell me that the president doesn't know? And even if the president doesn't know, he's been going to media and telling them and saying, he's been in Twitter saying, the president just need to place a call and ask, hey, Mr. David, so you were saying this and this, what exactly is happening? And maybe I don't know. He's simply saying if the David Ndii knows, then there are many other people that know these things. But there is a cover-up. There is a cocoon of people that are converging for specific interests. And they are untouchables. Not even the president can touch them. If what David is saying is something to go by. Saying they're looting and they're buying houses. The other day, Ahmed Nasir was saying the way Uhuru CS billionaires needs to return that money so that it pay debts, and also saying the way how within 10 months CSs are now billionaires and now running to dollars and all that. That's the one observation. Ruto has lost touch the government. Number two, about this looting here is because the government is only interested in wealth making. Those in power are just making wealth. And policies being churned out are just guided by self-interests. Why am I saying? Government to government deal, oil deal, was touted as an idea of some David Ndii, Epragai and some, yeah. And the intention of that government deal was to help us manage our dollar. We're getting dollar. But even 6 months in the deal, our dollar is still depreciating. It's actually on a free fall. So what does it mean? Things are simply not working. Now, as we speak about privatization, when the sugar industry, when there was a plan to privatize the sugar industry, especially in Mumias, the Kakamega leadership refused. It did not work. Now, we've been having all discussion about privatizing. If this is what is it, and from what David is saying, is that most of those things Kenya Kwanza are doing are not having the interest of the voter at the center. It's the interest of the governing authority. That is something that he's saying. And you know, in leadership, and the tragedy we always have in this country is when people are elected and immediately they get into that office, the first thing they think about is what is in it for me, not what is in it for them. Before any project is rolled, even if we are talking, even this, everything, every office, being your governor, senator, MP, everyone, when there is something that is supposed to be done, it could be going to help the people. But I'm telling you, behind the scene, the first question before even money is pumped into it is, out of the billions we are pumping in it, how much is in it for me? Thirdly, corruption is collapsing and paralyzing Kenyan government. Business Daily has released a report that in the last, is it January to June, government borrowed around 5 billion per day. Not 5 billion, a total of 860 billion to run government. Local borrowing. Now, secondly, as we speak, the Treasury has also said they will have to borrow additional 140 billion to pay recurrent expenditure, to cover recurrent expenditure. Remember, we once told the public, the HOS told us, HOS is head of state told us that never again shall we borrow to pay salaries. And when there was a salary delay in March, the explanation was that we had paid our debts, and because we didn't have the money, we did not go to borrow to pay our debts. But as we speak, we've run into another debt on covering recurrent expenditure because we don't have enough. So if that is what is going on, and it means how much dollars are getting to people's pockets, then if you don't cover corruption, and for me, I think this is the last bit I've always been saying, and I've been reminding President this, however much you collect, we've even employed some people with paramilitary trainings to be walking door to door to ensure tax compliance. However much we put administrative adjustments that we make to collect the taxes, our problem is not on where we are getting the money, whether we are borrowing or we are collecting locally. Our problem is how much is getting out. Our problem is people siphoning the public funds. There is no need. We cannot achieve anything. And as a government, we might assume, we want to assume about this, it's not something that is there. But if the more we collect is the more we lose, then we are still going to remain within that circle. And that is the borrowing circle, where we try, we collect, haitoshi, we go back, borrow, and we're not coming out the debt traps. In real sense, David Ndii is saying that Ruto is not doing what he's telling the public. Thank you.